Okay, it seems like the chat is connected correctly and everything. Perfect. Let me just start the vertical live stream because that's the new thing. What all the cool kids are doing. So let's see, vertical, this one, this one, this one, this one. It's gonna be exciting today, I'm pretty sure. But you will see in a moment. Like this, and then we do like that. And then all should be good. So, boom, and you can hear me and everything. Let's see here. Boom. Got the coffee. I got the cake. A little croissant. You know, we always start with me eating cake. Hello, croissant. Hello, Tiger SG. Matrix. Coyote. Adju, Gunako. Your game is amazing. Amazing. Yeah. Cool, thank you. Okay, that was weird. Can you guys hear me? Jesus freaking Christ. Okay, I'm trying to get back. Can you hear me now? Yep, worked. Okay, so it seems like I could get back. I might have been able to get back and continue streaming on the same live stream. But what the F is going on? Jesus Christ. Okay, so I think I managed to get it back and running. I don't know what happened. See me again? It was just like everything. I have these. I can't show it now, but I have these stream decks and everything, and some sound stuff, and we're just like boom, and then all of them went out, and my two monitors was just frozen, and then nothing. So I had to hold down the power button and restart. It might be due to a freaking BS update my colleague said I could do the other day. I need to look into that, I think. I'm all sweaty and all panicking. Nah, I think it's something. I don't know what it is, but it could be that BS update and then some settings that for the memory or something like that. I think I will do something to set it back on. Yeah. Anyway, let's see here. Okay. Everything looks correct again. Let's hope it stays like that. And let's give it my live stream has kind of been a series of how not to live stream. That was not really the plan. Okay. Welcome everybody again. Luckily I managed to be able to stream to the same stream, so I didn't have to create a new stream event and all that, so that's good. Now I'm starting up Unity, and I can show you what I have, because we are, maybe I can, while that's starting up, I can do this thingy here just so you can see how fancy I am. Boom. with PowerPoints and everything. No, it was just to recap. Hello, Mr. J. Hello, Red Rum. It was just a recap from what happened since the last live stream, or in the last live stream, and since basically, because we started up on this cleaning up of the shell and mortar in the last live stream, and I continued that after, offline, you could say. And I also made some corrections to some of this effect thing, because in the last live stream, as I remember, when I was testing, I had kind of an old effect and then 2 new effects we were testing with, and then 2 copies of these effects, because I was trying out things. Now it's much simpler. So today we are gonna look into making the shell and mortar work in multiplayer. Some of it is working, some of it is not. I will show you what it is in a moment when Unity have started up, and then we will look into fixing it. And I'll kind of explain why it's not working and how I can get it to work, I hope. So yeah, so that's it. Let's hear. Okay, so Unity is back here. And we actually need to start. Whoops, we need to have 2 of these because we are testing multiplayer stuff. So now I'm opening yet another Unity because it feels like my machine is not pressured enough for doing these live streams. Now, it's not because it's pressured. It's something, I think, something with the BIOS update that reset some of the settings. So I had to manually set up some speed for the memory and some voltage and stuff like that, based on the specs I found online. So it should all be good. But I'm sure something isn't right. And this is why I don't think I've updated a BIOS like in 20 years or something like that, because every freaking time it's I see your hearts. I see your little. So one IT tip for today: don't ever update your BIOS. Well, it's not really a good tip, but for me at least, it always stinks up, which is really, really annoying. So let's see where we are here. Oh, Jesus Christ. Let's see here. Oh, why is it not? Okay. And as I've been doing for what? The last couple of live streams, I'm both streaming horizontally and vertically, because why not? It feels like my computer can handle it, as you can see. I give it a try. I don't think actually it's that. But it could be, of course. My machine also started acting weird after I started doing 2 live streams at the same time. So it could actually be that's the problem. But I'm leaning more towards the memory and BIOS thing. Can you add bird bangers? Not as such, but it is the plan later on to do something. So yeah, maybe bird bangers could be a thing, but I'm gonna right now the tool selection is very static. It's not dynamic on the player. So there is the tool that you have. It's the plan further on, but it might be after multiplayer have gone live, where I want to change it so that the tools are also more dynamic. Just like you have multiple different fireworks, you can have different tools. So modders can create different tools, and I can create different tools. Also where tools can be deselected and selected in various maps, so people can do mini games or whatever. Anyway, If you have a backup, you can set it back to the day before the update. Oh yeah, okay. It's about getting bird bangers in multiplayer. Yes. But we'll get there. Good evening, Trust Pyro and Jitsi. I'm talking to Gornako too. Vertical. I'm just doing the vertical because YouTube is pushing out of. I heard that they are pushing out live streams for the shorts feed. So it was just like, when I'm live anyway, why not also have the feed go out in a vertical format for that? Maybe I hit somebody that likes the game or likes watching boring live streams of a bald nerd drinking coffee, making a game. But who knows, maybe, if I'm lucky. But anyway, so let's see here. Let's see what we have now. So to the left, we have the, maybe I should change it to, nah, this is not better. So let me do one little game here. So the host is to the left and the client is to the right. I hope you can see it, it's not too small. Should I do this one instead? But then I'm taking up some of the... let's do with this for now. Okay, so let's see here. So we have a mortar and we have a shell. Shell is there on, I made it a little bigger since last time, I think. And then let's put one in here. We of course need some kind of animation maybe, but at least a sound that says this where it goes into the shell, into the mortar. Let me just shut this one up and this one, and we do this. Okay, so before we join here, so let's see. So just to prove that it's working on the, please catch the mouse. Okay, it can't, why can't it figure that one out? Huh? Anyway, so this is on the ground. So this has changed since the last time, because now I don't know if Amnesty is here. I guess he's not, since you haven't written in chat, but if he's watching this on demand, now the shell is not actually flying around. Now it's the effect that is flying around, which is more performant and you can do more with it. There are some physics stuff, so it might be better with the shell physics wise, but it's a lot more expensive. So we try with this for now. Anyway, so that was the shell on the ground that works. And then we have in the tube also works. If you noticed it, there was a little poof going out of here. Right now you cannot reload a tube, so I have to do this again. But we also look into fixing that later on. But pay attention that in the bottom here around the tube, I can zoom in here maybe. Okay. You couldn't see that. But anyway, there is one effect, as we talked about it in the end of the last live stream, where there is one effect that is currently put on the shell that shoots up in the bottom here. So that effect is played when the shell is fired off from within the mortar, and when the shell is fired off on the ground, that one is not played. Only the, flying up and exploding effect is played. So you can see this worked fine locally, only on the host here. I don't know why it's not catching my mouse here. That's kind of annoying. Never tried that, I think. I tried the other one where I couldn't get it out, but not where it's not in here. But anyway, now let's try and join the client here. And no, you don't have to try and join, because you can't, because this is another version of the game than you have, so it won't work anyway. Yeah, I'm not looking at all at the effect or anything. That's not important. because we could have beautiful effects, simple effects. The logic behind it is the same. So that's what I'm focusing on. Can you add a possibility to spawn a kind of preloaded mortars rack? Well, basically that is what there is in the... I can't remember who made it, but there is a mod with these racks of things that is preloaded, and that's basically just the logic, I guess, from a cake or from a preloaded tube, as we have in the game already. But anyway, so let's try here. So now we again, remember the left one is the host and the right one is the client. So let's see if the client can spawn a... Okay, there's something wrong with the mouse, as you can see. It's not holding the mouse here or capturing the mouse, but that's fine for now. Okay, annoying. We can also just do like this. Boom. And let's put a shell here on... Okay, that was too low. On the ground here and in here. Boom. So let's see what happens here. Again, if it's synced up correctly, both of them should see this effect, and the effect should look kind of the same. It did. I don't know why there was no sound. That was a little weird. And in here, you can see I'm the client now on the right here. So, oh yeah, of course, like and subscribe. Anyway, so you can see the client cannot turn on the mortar, and as a little hint, I can tell you that's because on the client there is nothing loaded into the mortar. If I do it on the host here, it should work. Yep, it works. And it shoots out. Boom. But nothing goes on over here. And that's what we are gonna fix, hopefully, in a moment. Let me just try one thing again, because I thought it was a little weird that we didn't have any sounds here. Okay, there's another bug there at least. So the sound is not playing on the host when the shell itself is... Okay, that's another bug, but we'll take a look at that. Anyway, so we need to sync this thing up. Because what happens now is that when you put a shell into a mortar, yeah, I can show the code in a moment, but what the mortar does is that it takes that shell and then figure out which kind of shell that is. Then it saves that information and deletes the shell. And then it stores that information to know that when this mortar is fired off, it needs to play this effect. And it's actually instantiating that effect on top of the mortar. Oh, maybe I should have shown that once when we were in the game. But anyway. But the problem is that that's only happening on the... Or it's not only happening now because I just changed it, but... So here is on the mortar behavior. By the way, also for the nerds that know anything about the coding for this game, instead of having my own implementation now, I'm reusing the base fireworks behavior now. And then I've changed something I've changed a lot of the methods in the base fireworks behavior, so they are virtual, because I need to override when the fuse is enabled, when it's ignited, position, blah blah blah, and some other methods like the get fuse, for instance. That's overwritten in the mortar behavior because I only want to return the fuse if there is a shell loaded, else the fuse should not work, or shouldn't even be, touchable. But I don't know if anyway. But so this is the code here when the shell is put into the mortar. That's this trigger event here, and it has some checks, blah 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 blah. And so Then for the object that is put into, it checks if it's actually a shell behavior, because we only want to put shells into it. And then, yeah, that's what it's checking here. And then it does some check for kinematic false. That's some other thing that is not actually working correctly. But anyway, it checks if it's a shell. And then from the shell, it takes the entity definition. And I don't know if you know what that is, but basically all fireworks in the game have have some metadata around themselves. And you have to have that stored some other place. So you can create an inventory and you can do certain stuff like loading blueprints and doing what we are about to do here. So therefore we have some entity definitions that have metadata around it. And one of the metadata is the actual prefab. That is the actual shell or other fireworks that needs to be created once you spawn it. So that's how it works. Now you all know how to do a fireworks game. But so here we take the shell behaviors entity definition ID, and then we store that in a network variable. That means that when this is set, and this is only happening on the host, when this is set, the ID of the entity is synchronized between clients and the host. So after this line, basically, both the host and the client know that it's this shell 3ins, whatever. It has some kind of unique ID that is stored inside that. And I need this later on when I need to spawn it. Right now, as you can see here, what I'm doing right now is that, because this is the code that only works on the host. So right now I'm just taking the prefab from that entity definition. This one should be seen as kind of the next step, because yeah, we'll get to that. This is how it works locally. I get the prefab, I instantiate a prefab, then I take the launch effect and save that, put it at the same position and make it and then disable it, and do the shell, same with the shell effects. So basically here I'm preparing the mortar to fire off that effect and launch effect that was set on the shell. So I'm preparing that when you put the shell into it. But that that shouldn't really happen here in the new one. What should happen here is that we just basically set this ID. And once this ID is set, there's I need to hook up a trigger so that now you just, yeah, but not actually Gonarco, because these effects are actually only client-side things, but we will see in a moment. So, but the problem is this logic running here right now only happens on the host. That's why the host is the only one who can see the effect. So I need to move this logic here, and yeah, so it happens once this ID is set. The problem is, and we can actually see that already. So you can see here I have a loaded shell entity ID and I have an onValue changed. So this one is triggered on both client and host once this is set. And this set can only be set by the host, but that's a detail. So let's just say that we just put this up here because and the new value here is the ID. So we do like this. This is not working. Do that. And soon you will see the problem. Yeah, this is the problem. Whoops. Okay, come on. So basically what I need to do is that on the host, I need to set the shell entity ID so I know what shell is loaded into this mortar. I get this from here. And then I basically just destroy the shell, because now the mortar knows all it needs to know. Once this is set, we can maybe, yeah, that's fine. Once this is set, let's say on host, start running. This one, once this is set, this one up here is triggered on both client and the host. The problem is that I don't currently have a way to look up. Hello, Amnesty. I don't have a way to look up this entity, because you can see here this shell behavior to load that we have access to right here, down here. I don't have access to this up here because this code is running on both the client and host. So I don't have a reference to that. Now it becomes very technical. But basically, to keep it simple, what I need to be able to do is to take this value here, which is the entity ID. I need to be able to look that up. To do, look up entity definition. Because in the game, I have I call it database, but it's just a list, a dictionary of things really. But what I need to do is to look up, I need to look up that in the entity database, so I can get a reference to this entity definition, so I can get a reference to the prefab, both on the client and on the host, so that I can do these things on both the client and the host. So, so once I can get to a point where I can set this prefab here, all this logic should work, kind of. Most likely there are some issues and all that. But the biggest problem right now is that I cannot do this lookup, because this mortar behavior is part of the fireworks MANIA core, which is what is included in the mod tools, because modders need to be able to use these scripts when they are building mods. The problem is, and now we will get fancy with our drawing again now. If it could synchronize, come on. Okay, you look at me while it synchronizes. What's going on here? Come on. I'll get fancy with a drawing, but it's related to dependencies. So you see here. Let's see. I practiced some. There was LW1. That's this one. Whoops. LW2. This one. LW3. Whoops. This one. Boom. Yes. And LS is this one. Okay, cool. Okay, so basically how the game works is that I have a, whoops, that was too big. So I have the game, basically, and then I have the core, basically. The core is included in the, I don't know how to draw that. We could do like that. The mod tools. So the mod tools know about the core, but it doesn't know about the game, because if it knew about the game, all the stuff that is in the game, I would put basically the entire game into the mod tools, and that's not how you make mods and make things extendable. How you make things extendable is just to give modders, in this case, access to the core things that they need, like the mortar, the mortar behavior. But how the behavior is actually used, because there's a lot of stuff going on inside the game of how to handle these behaviors, how to do some optimized physics stuff, calculating what is hit, blah, 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 blah. And that goes on in the game here. So the game knows about the core, but the core doesn't know about the game. So, and the entity database, so the entity database lives over here. So how do we get that reference? How do we look up something over here? Well, I thought of that. Well, I have an idea. I know how you normally do it in software, so I'm trying to do something similar. Maybe there is a package I could use to make it easier, but I'm just rolling my own here because it's simpler. So what you can do is that you can do an interface, over here. So we could do an interface called something like insert. I have already created actually, I entity blah 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 database, or I can database blah blah blah, and that could be inside of the core. Then if I have another resolver thing, now it becomes really for you guys that are just playing the game and not developers, your mind is exploding now because you have no idea what is going on here. But anyway, you joined a programming stream, so you're here. Maybe you can move the database to the mod tools. No, exactly. That's not the solution. The solution is to provide an interface that you can use, and then at runtime, that interface will be implemented by the database. It's not exactly how it's going to work, but that's the idea. So I'm basically saying here in the core, I have this interface. There is this method to look up an entity, and at runtime, I will provide you with an implementation of that interface that you don't know about. It just works, basically. We are into some very advanced topics here. Dependency injection, basically. Version of control, basically. But anyway, yeah. But what I will do now, Konako, is actually something that will enable you to look up an entity in the database via this method, because you can use this in other cases too. But I have to do this. I haven't had the need for doing this in the core before now. Anyway, there is some. Yeah, we'll get to that. Keep console in mind. Consoles shouldn't be a problem here. There is tons of other issues with consoles, but this shouldn't be a problem here, because the thing I said in previous live stream about console and not being extendable with code, blah blah blah. All the code in the core, you can use that, but so I would expect this to also be working in this build that I have to do for a console at some point. But generally, custom code is not gonna. So all Gonako's mods and all that will never work on console, sadly. At least not from what I can see now. But anyway, we are on PC now, so let's stay in PC land for now. Anyway, so as you can see, I created this interface like a TV kitchen, because I was working on this yesterday but never got to actually implement it. So basically in the core now, you can see I have an I might change the names and all that before you get to it, but let's see. Entity database, and it have a entity get entity definition, which takes an ID. That's the one we have in the Mortar, and it returns a base entity definition, which is what we need because we need to get access to this prefab. Okay. So, and now comes the thing, because I only thought of this in theory. And maybe I need your help, Konako, because I can't remember exactly how to look it up. But let's see. Anyway, so in the game, so the interface is in the core. Now I need an implementation of this one. Right now I'm just implementing this in something I have in the game called the Fireworks Manager, because it have a reference to the database already. So I can do an implementation up here. You can see that the Fireworks Manager now implements the entity definition database. And then I can do the implementation of this one just by calling the definition. This is the actual database. And then I can call the get entity definition, which is done in here, which looks something up in a dictionary, blah blah blah. Anyway, so that's all good. So now I actually have an implementation of this in the game. Now I need a way to get that reference at runtime, because in the Mortar I can't just write entity database blah 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 blah. I need to have that implementation resolved at runtime. So I don't know what I will call it at the end, but for now I'm just gonna add a class here called Dependency resolver. I'm not sure this is the best name, but now that's what it's called. And so how do we do that? So we need to put it here, boom. And then how can we do that? Can we, if we make that, should that be a, no, I can't do that. Should that be a singleton? That should maybe be a singleton, really. So, yeah. So it needs to be, I'm not sure I can make it static. That's not the problem, Guanaco. You weren't here in the live stream where I talked about it. It's because I found out that I was reading up on console just for the fun of it, just to do some kind of little research, because I'm not at all looking into consoles yet. But let me show you. The thing is that consoles require the game to be built with another scripting backend. So we'll just do a quick different route here. Hello, Max Sven Stevenson. Okay, come on. Okay, so let me show you here. So here, so that's scripting backend. Right now it's mono. That means it's dynamically coded. It's code on demand, what's called just in time compiled, something dynamic, blah 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 blah. And that is why we can do this stuff from UMod where we read in stuff. It was in the UMod documentation I read this. But for console, they require the game to be built with IL2 CPP, which is something that, yeah, exactly. No, not exactly. I tried just for the fun of it to build the game with this, and that works. The game builds fine. Maybe, I don't know if it performs better. It's something where it compiled directly to some C++ stuff instead of having the mono thing in between. But it needs to compile it to this. Just a second. Okay, back again. Okay, so the problem is I have to build it to that for it to run on console, and I tried it with the build I made, and all the mods, like a lot of Amnesty's mods that just use the components that is in the core tools, because UMod is then at runtime, when reading in the mod, it's replacing that implementation with the code that is already in the game. Then it works. But dynamically compiled code, which is what you will come with as a modder, that cannot run in this case. And I tried it and it failed. So no, but it's not UMod. It's because it's not possible with that scripting backend. So it's not a UMod problem. It's a compile problem. I don't know if it's possible, and that's something I'm thinking about right now. If I enabled assembly, use of assembly in mods, if using a pre-built assembly in the game would be, but I don't think so. I don't know. So, but I'll look into what we can do at that point. Else we'll figure something out. But the good thing is that if you're using the component which most people that are building pure fireworks are doing, it works. So that's good. But maybe. But there's a solution. The solution is if I include the things in the game, like the components you're using as a modder, that works. And I think that's what most games that are modded on consoles do. they provide different things that you can configure differently, or also the new models and maps that also works. It's just code that doesn't work. So you can do a lot, but just not custom coding. So yeah, that was kind of a sidetrack. Let's get back to the code, but before we get that, let's take a little break because I need a bio break. Be right back in 1 minute. Okay, back again. Boom. So let's get back to the code here. So one way of doing this, I don't know if I can. Let me just try something. So basically, what I want to do now is I want to do something like whatever. Get test blah blah. Can I call game object dot find by blah 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 blah? Yeah, okay, I can. Maybe I can. No, I can't. Static. But I really don't want to do it static because no, I can't do that. Okay. So the resolver needs to be a singleton too. So let's copy some code here. That yeah. Let me think. Resolver. Where is the Fox menu? Where is it? Here it is. So we do this. We just keep a simple version. So we go here and then we do this mono behavior, and it doesn't need to be any network or anything. It's just a pure. So we just do an awake here and like that, and then we do an instance. Basically just building a singleton now. So like that. There are different ways of building singletons with some checks and stuff, but anyway, so so now we have an instance here, so we can in here to add that, and then we can. Then I don't know how I should do this. Should we do a tget? There's something with the naming here that is not that is not super good. So we can do we need to cache it and stuff like that. Get because right now we cannot do this. We need to cache it. Object. So we say where. No, we can't do that. This is not the way to do it. Oh, there is another way. Let me think. I do this some other place. No, that's not it. It finds everything and then it do. Yeah, I'm basically what I want. I can also show you what I want to do, and then so you can maybe make sense. Sometimes that's easier. So what I want to do is I want to say I want to find the entity definition, and then I want to say dependency dependency resolver dot instance dot get implementation of the entity database, like this. This won't work right now, but this is the idea, and sometimes that's actually pretty good to do it like this and then have it fail and then fix it. So this is basically what we want to do, and then we want to say something like this. Boom. No, that's the database, of course. So that's the entity database, and then we have the entity definition, which is database get entity definition that with this new value here, which is the entity definition ID that we got in from the host, and then we can do like this, and then we have that. So yeah, it's a fixed string, so it needs to be 2-string or value 2-string. Can't remember. Is it the value? No, it's 2-string. Like that. Okay. Anyway, so this is basically what I want to do. So I want to have a dependency resolver, get the instance of that. Again, this won't work right now. Then I get the implementation of the entity definition database, and this is basically Gonako. This is how, and again, I don't know if this will be the final implementation. I might do something else. But basically, this is the way I currently plan for modders to be able to interact with the game. So there is this list of interfaces, like the entity definition database. It could also be a player database or player repository, whatever we call it. Yeah, just a second. Okay, back again. So this is the way I'm planning, I'm thinking at least now, to be able for modders to interact with the game, and then have these various implementations. And that works runtime. Right now this won't work because I don't have a dependency resolver instance in the game, but I'll get that in a moment. Yeah, and this resolver also need to have a cache, because right now, when I figure out in a moment how to do this, I of course need to cache this reference while this one is living, and the lifetime of this dependency resolver will be as long as you are in the game. As soon as you quit the game, quit the map, sorry, not the game, the map, or the host you are joining or whatever, then this one is cleared, and then we start all over. But yeah. So this should basically work once I get the other stuff to work, and then we can do some naming stuff and blah 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 blah. Okay, so let me see. There is some. I need to remember where I'm doing this somewhere else. I just need to figure out where. What is it that I'm looking for? Because we can't do like that. because it's an interface, so I can't say where T. You can see here it's where T is a Unity object, and my interface is not a Unity object, so that won't work. I'm pretty sure, but there is another way. Find object of type. Nope. There is one where it finds every object of type. Objects. Let's see. Find objects of type. Somewhere I'm using this. I can't remember. Oh, is it in the scene loading manager? Let's see here. Not this one, not this one. Here it is. This one. I don't know how performant it is, but it works. So game object, find object by type, blah blah blah, T, and then we say T. That should work, right? Hope. Apparently not. Oh, that's because it's a list. We just do this one. Find object of type. Okay. First. And then of course we need one for list too for other stuff. But again, this is just a first go. So this should basically work. So it finds an implementation of this T thing. To do, we need to cache it. I assume. Maybe we can have an overload here to check the cache or not, blah blah blah. Anyway, so this should work. So now we need a dependency resolver in the map, and luckily we have a scene that all maps are loaded on top of or together with. So we have something called Map Essentials Multiplayer. So I can go in here, and then I guess I can go to managers, which might not be the right place, or miss maybe. Nah, let's put it up here. It's not really a manager, but we do it anyway. So let's try and create a new one here called Dependency Resolver, and we just zero it out. That's fine. Really, it could also be static if we wanted, because we don't need it to move. It's dependency resolver. Boom. So nothing more to it than just adding this one, having it in here in the map essentials, which is loaded before all maps. So now we have that, and we don't need to be a prefab or anything. I think this should be fine. So let's remove the C. So now we should actually be able to get a reference when we are calling this one. We get an instance, we get an implementation, we get an instance of the dependency resolver. We can call get implementation of the entity definition database. Once we have that, we can get the definition that was just set. This is the definition ID coming in here to the shell entity ID. And we can put that in here, and we get this one out. Of course, we can do some checks here. We could check for null to be sure that it's there, but that shouldn't happen because the client and host should always have the same entity database anyway. So that should work. And then we get that prefab, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Let's see if it works. And if I lost you somewhere along the way here, totally understandable. For you guys that are just players of the game, you have no reason for knowing anything of this. I guess you're here because you are interested in knowing something about how a game works. Good morning, Berto. That's a late morning for you because it's 6 o'clock in the afternoon. But good morning to you too. Yeah, that shouldn't happen. Yeah, exactly. And I will do a check for that. But right now I'm just checking if things are working, and then I'm doing all that other stuff afterwards. But really, I mean it when I say it. It shouldn't be null, because if a host sets but oh yeah, it could be if the host have a mod that the clients don't have, but then we have other problems too, because then it can't spawn or anything, so it will give tons of other issues. So let's see here. It should even work actually if we do it now before. So what happened? So let's see here. Let's just see if this works. Yes, perfect. Okay, so it works on the and this is with the new logic. Remember that I moved it from actually happening when you're putting it in to when this network variable is set. So if we do it again, maybe we should let the client, so the host is to the left and the client is to the right here. I don't know why it's not. What is wrong with the mouse here? It doesn't usually do that. Again, we cannot reload the mortars yet, so we do like this instead. And now let's see, we could also maybe let's do something. Let's inspect before we test it, just because. Hello. Okay, so let's inspect this a little. So let's find the fireworks manager. We have two mortars. One of them is the first one that we forget about that one because that's old. I guess this is the right one. Let's see, which one is that? Yeah, that's the one I'm about to turn on. Yes, perfect. This is the one. So here we can see that it actually have a hidden launch effect and a hidden effect on the client side, also on the host. But it's a client side thing, and now to make the effect go off in both client and the host, it just needs to send a message that go ahead, play this effect. Which is the simplest way of doing it, I think. We can also do some other checks here. We can see, maybe, I'm not sure. Here at the mortar behavior, we are on the client now, remember that. So here we have the loaded shell entity, and we can see, we can see the value because it's a fixed string, it's a byte array, blah blah blah. But anyway, it's set. So I think actually this might work. Let's see. Oops. Woo! And this is how you make a shell work in multiplayer. I don't know if you noticed it, but it worked. So now I'm on the client side. We can also, let's try and, okay, this mouse thing is annoying. The fuck? It's not locking the mouse. Anyway, Jesus Christ. Let's try and do something here. So we aim them at different angles, blah, blah, blah. And then we take the shell here. Ah, damn it. Oh, fuck. What? That's not good. Okay. That's really annoying. I need to restart the... Okay, so we have something here, and then we have something here, and then in a later version we can also only show the fuse, of course, when there is something inside. Perfect. And the sound is also playing now, because as you can see up here, the sound is only playing from the host. On the client here, I've disabled the sound. So at least when they're shooting off from the tube, it works, but the other before it didn't work. See? It's not playing a sound there. Yeah, but that's another problem. Null reference. Yeah, so we have some null reference. Let's see what's yeah, here we have a null reference. Remember when I said it shouldn't be null? Ah, okay. Let's zoom out then. Okay. Blah blah. I need to fix this mouse thing. I just want to restart Unity because it's really annoying. Because I can't do anything because the mouse is going over to another version of Unity. So when I try and spawn something, it's clicking on the other Unity and putting that into focus. So that's really annoying. Let's try and start again and see if it works. But anyway, I don't know if you noticed it, but it actually worked. So when you put a shell into a mortar, it's being synchronized to the clients now, which is nice. Which is also perfect timing because it's 1 hour stream now, meaning I think I will stop in a moment actually. Because I got it working. Tons of things to do still, because obviously I need to cache these references. I need to figure out, you know, a lot can go wrong with this, but it kind of works. And now now making it reloadable is a matter of being able to reset. The reason it's not reloadable now is actually not the mortar's fault. It's actually the fuse. The thing is, a fuse is only made to be used once in the game. That's how the fuse is made. So I need to implement some logic so you're able to kind of reset a fuse, saying, okay, I've used this fuse now, but now I want to reset it in certain scenarios like this one. Because here the fuse logic is on the mortar, and so it's the same fuse used over and over again. As a player, you don't have to think about that or worry about that, but that is how it works. So I need to be able to reset that to be able to make it reloadable. I also need to be able to clean up because as you might saw when I'm spawning these effects on the mortar to prepare it to fire off, right now these game objects are not removed. So if the mortar was reloadable, it would just keep adding a new effect, a new effect, a new effect, a new effect. So I need to create some kind of script that can remove itself once the effect is over. Okay, okay, I need to restart maybe or something like that. It cannot. It keeps, you know, you see my mouse. I cannot get it to capture the mouse, and I haven't changed anything with this. So it's for sure some Unity, Windows, whatever issue. But it's kind of perfect anyway because I think I'll end the stream here because it actually works. So yeah, I don't know if you saw it, Amnesty. Did you see it? Should I maybe do it one more time just to... But it's almost impossible to show because you can see then the mouse goes down here, and if I click then it's outside the window and go over here, and then suddenly this one have focus. Oh. Let's try something. This one. Okay, come on. Okay, let me try something, because what if we wait with this, what if we load mortars, because that should also work now with this network variable. Ah, damn it. I also need to make something so it's kind of sucks the shell in somehow, so it's not so hard to hit or aim. So now these are, you can see I can actually ignite them, so they are loaded now. Let's see what happens on the client when he's joining afterwards, because that also needs to be working. See you, Berto. I also need to have dinner soon, so that's also why I'm leaving. So let's see here. So now can the client ignite these? Maybe let's try and go back a little. I don't know if you were here in the beginning, Amnesty, but I have changed it now. I can show that in a moment. So the effect is, okay, now I deleted it because this freaking mouse thing. Okay, let's see it. Nope. Okay. And I kind of think I know why. Yeah, I know why. Anyway, I fixed that. I know why that's not working. But just for your sake, Amnesty. So the way it works now is more as we talked about last time. So now you have a shell. And the shell behavior here, you have the classic entity, you have the fuse, you have the model. Then you have the ground force, which is what the speed is changed to on the main effect provided down here, as we talked about last time, as it's done in Panini script. And then you have a reference to the effect. So you can see here, this one is the effect over here. So the shell only have one effect, and that's the boom and boom effect, not the launch ember, whatever it's called, effect, because that's the next one here. That's the launch effect prefab, which is a prefab, so that can be reused over again, because as you also showed me, that's kind of it's the same. Yeah, so it's one effect in the shell, and then one reusable, and you can do your own, of course, of these, like you have in your case, of these launch effects. We can see it here actually. And it's not looking very good, but that's not the point right now. So you can see this is my very, very nice looking effect. So this one is played at the top of the tube as the effect goes up, and then we have the shell effect, which is in here, which is shooting up. Let's just close this. So the effect is like shooting up here, and boom. And the root effect is the start speed here. That's the one that it's blowing up, rolling up with. But as you can see here, yeah, so essentially it works the same as Panini, except for it's implemented in another way for the multiplayer thing. But let me show you something here. Maybe it's just because my effect is not that good. I just took one of the, as you can see, one of the preloaded tube effects. I just needed to have some effect to play around with. But if you look here, if I put it down now, before I actually think it looked better, because before you could actually see the shell jump around and then explode and disappear. Where now, as soon as the fuse is done, this model is gone and the effect is being played without the initial poof thing. So take a look here. It doesn't look that good, but it could just be my effect, you see? And it doesn't play a sound, but that's another note. That's because I have done because I've removed what? Come on. Wait, there's something wrong with the mouse. I can't disable the, what? Okay. There's no sound because Unity thinks that it should be turned off, and I cannot click it for some reason. Anyway, just want to show you this one. Oops. And it will be without sound now, apparently, because that's what Unity thinks is the best. So here now you will see, if you pay attention, you will see this initial boom prefab go up, and then of course the effect. And to make it look a little better, and we can also try the shell itself like this in the dark here. So we do like this, and then we take just a shell on the ground. So you can see how that works or looks. It's better in the dark, but yeah. So it flies around weirdly, just as it would kind of do in real life. And then when it's put into a shell and ignited here, it goes up like this, poof, and boom. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So this is how it works, but it's not complete. There is still a lot of stuff I can do, obviously. Like the fuse only needs to be a custom fuse that is provided from the shell / entity. We only need to show the fuse once something is loaded into it. We need to clean up the effects on the mortar when it's reloadable, and we need to make it reloadable. And I also need to make this work with blueprints, which is not working yet, but I think that will be pretty easy actually, because all I need to save now is the ID of the entity to spawn in, so that should be fairly easy, because that's how the entire game works and how the blueprints work anyway, so that should be okay. Yeah, I need to clean up these effects that is spawned on top, because what happens, I don't know if you were here, Amnesty, when I explained that, but what happens is when you put the shell into the mortar, it actually takes the effect from inside the shell and instantiate a version of that and put it on top of the mortar or inside the mortar. And I can do this because at this point, when the shell is loaded into the mortar, it's no longer a network thing in itself. The effect is actually on all the clients and the host, and then only a signal is sent to play that one on all of them. So it looks like they are in sync. But that's just a basic game dev cheating thing to make things work. So still, and then there was another thing, and I don't know how that works in Panini's thing. I need to look into that. But that's the size thing, you know, how to determine if this shell fits into the mortar. Do we do it with some real in-game measurements of how big the shell is and how big the tube is? That might not be the most efficient way of doing it, but we could also have just, you know, on the shell itself, or on the entity definition, we could just have a, you know, size, so like 0.5 inch or 2 inch or whatever, either in inch or in centimeters. I don't know what's best. Here in Europe, we would do it in centimeters, but anyway, I might be called it inches, and yeah, I don't know. But anyway, so I think that would actually be easier to have a mortar saying, okay, I'm this size, and you just provide it with a number. So the mortar knows that it's the size of 10. Then it's up to you as the creator of the mortar to actually make it correctly visually, so it looks like a 10-inch mortar. And then the same goes for the shell. You have to provide the size that actually fits into the game, where, you know, 1 unit is 1 meter, so you have to calculate how big it should be. But anyway, that would be the easiest way, because then you can also say, okay, I have a shell, it has the size of 7. I'm trying to put it into a mortar of 10. That means it can go into, but it's not super effective because, you know, there's too much room around it. Where if it's a 10-10, so it's a perfect fit, then it just goes up totally as it should. So yeah, so I think that's the easiest way of handling that size issue, and I think it's an okay way of doing it, because neither the shell or the mortars is changing size, you know, dynamically. They have the size they have, no matter how many you spawn. So yeah. So yeah, I think that's the last word from today. For the tubes, I want to make you some models that are correct size. The current ones are way too big. Of course, the idea is that plan is that you as a modder can create mortars yourself. I will create some low poly ones, that fits into the game. I will create some low poly shells that fit to the game, but you can do your own. So you can make your own mortars. So that in that way it's different than Panini's, because as I remember, Panini's is kind of, he made the different mortars and then people made shells that fit that. And I pretty sure he did that because the way the script works and the way he could hack it to work. As I said in the last live stream, I can do much more because, I'm inside the game, so I can just change things when I need to. So it's easier for me, you could say. Shouldn't the size be uniform across the... Yes, the size should be right. So even the low poly ones I'm doing, I will make them so that, the hole inside the tube is actually 1 inch, 2 inch, 5 inch, whatever. So of course the physical size, when you put one mortar of my low poly ones next to your realistic ones, the size should be the same, obviously. But it's only a visual thing. It's something we have to create correctly. So the size should still be correct, because everything else in the game is correctly sized, or it should be at least. The character is 1.8 or 2 meters, 1.8 meters high, so kind of an average height. So everything should be sized correctly after one unit in Unity being 1 meter. But yeah, of course, it will be confusing to players if there are two different tubes with 3 inch labels and they are completely wrong in size. But you can do that as a modder with the system I'm creating here, because you as a modder have to provide the size of the tube and the shell as a number, because that's the most efficient way to do it. Because calculating, how should I calculate the inside of the tube, and the size of the shell is maybe a little bigger, but it is kind of a performance thing to do these things. So it's much easier just to have a number, how big is this shell, how big is the tube. The thing I mentioned before, like we still need the custom fuse thing. We need some logic so the fuse is only shown when there is something loaded. We need to make it reloadable. That's not working right now, and that's basically not the mortar, it's actually the fuse, because a fuse in the game right now is only made to work once, then it's used, because in real life a fuse works once. But for this to work, because I'm faking the fuse, the fuse is on the mortar, so I'm faking that one, so I need to be able to reset it. Maybe I can do something else. I will figure it out, but something around that needs to work. And then of course, but you guys can get access to the closed beta testers can get access to the mod tools while I'm working on the in-game ones. So you can start working on your end too, while I'm working on making because that will also take some time for me to create the built-in shells and the built-in mortars. And I said that in the beginning, I don't think you saw that, but I actually made it even more simpler now, because now I'm inheriting from the base fireworks behavior. So every fireworks is now inheriting for that, which makes some other things easier. I just had to change some stuff because the mortar needs to override some of the behavior. So 2 months delayed. You are never satisfied, Kelpusam. But it's okay, it's pushing me forward, that's fine. And as I said in one of the previous live streams, shell and mortar is not a multiplayer thing, of course, and multiplayer is the focus. But the problem is that shells and mortars in the game is very popular, and Panini script can never work in multiplayer. So either I have to do something so Panini could make his script work, but that's not technically possible due to Unity right now. And that combined with me having shells and mortars under to do anyway for a long time to have native in the game, it made sense to do it now so that people also have, at least the one who have access right now to the mod tools, can create shells and mortars. So we have something for the release in December. So, yeah, that's it for now. Good progress, made it work. My idea of how to make it work hold up, and as a side product, we also got a system for modders to get access to some internal things, which I can expose via these interfaces as I showed before. But that's very technical, and may only Gonako cares about that, so I won't go through that again. But yeah, that's it for now. 1 hour, 20 minutes, and I'm out. See you in the next live stream. Bye.